Rachel. Appreciate being here, y'all. Ms. DeLeo. I've been y'all's forester, whether you knew it or not, for about 16 years here in Hays County. I'm in my 23rd year with the Forest Service. My ancestors came to this county 170 years ago or so. A few years ago, I had the fortune to walk around this property. I appreciated that opportunity. Work with landowners, especially on oak wilt issues. From here up through formerly through San Saba. Where's my fellow forester who covers that territory now? Emily, there she is. So I'm really glad to have that help. You know, my ancestors have seen all kinds of things come at them over the decades, scores of years. And we've seen the fires, we've seen the droughts, we've seen the floods. This one kind of a little bit different, wasn't it? All you have to do is walk that river bottom. How many of y'all own property on up to the shorelines of the river? A lot of us, a lot of y'all. Sorry, I live on a hilltop, a rock. We seldom have flood issues, but boy, I do worry about wildfires when it's that season. It's starting to get a little crunchy out there, isn't it? We've had, what, 12 days without a drop?
It didn't take long, did it?
Golly. So I'm out there watering all my replantings over the winter months that I add to my property to make sure they're staying alive. The Leos have done incredible adding diversity to their landscape. We saw, what, 70 or 80 species. Paul Plata has had a participation, his guys, your contractor, working on a lot of the landscaping issues. Oh, David. I regret hearing that some of the pecans that I saw 7 years ago down on the river bottoms are now in Caldwell County. I understand. But, you know, that it just keeps coming at us, and we just keep turning back and facing Mother Nature and digging in again. So how many of y'all that had the property, or how many of y'all walked down on to the banks of the river recently in the last week? I was fortunate to spend with some of your park board members a couple days ago, actually, half a day up and down in your park. 27 acres, I understand. You know, it's a beautiful park. That water flowing through there today is gorgeous. The park's going to be there. It's not going away. It's a beautiful site. But you know, one of the best things you can leave on your property are your footsteps, your footprints. Y'all need to be walking out on your shorelines, on your first terrace, on your second terrace, and observing right now. We're strongly encouraging everybody to whoa back. You know, you're okay if you're out there with your chainsaw working hard. Boy, I sure hope y'all are being careful. There's a lot of dangerous aspects out there. I've written down a few. I went up and down that bank, and I understand Tracy says that it's a little different around this curve. Y'all got this great bend, this sweep, and the gravels came a-tumbling and laid out in different fashion. But with that high cliff down at your park, pushing the water up onto the first terrace, up on the second terrace, 20 and 30 feet up on those second terrace live oaks. Amazing. And that's one of the things. We have a brochure in the back. Hope y'all pick this up. We put this out the first week, trying to get some ideas out there. And I really like the first one, but it's off a little bit. We say, before you start, look up. And we're worried about those first few days, electric wires. You know, we were really worried about electric wires. So look up. But you know what? It's still holding true. My number one concern around these banks and where trees are standing is what's still hanging up in the tree. All that flotsam, all that debris up there. You know, we haven't had a roundtable discussion yet on what to do with that, but I know a lot of y'all are going to want to get it out of there. And that's okay, but know the mass that you're dealing with, the weight of those logs. You know, telephone poles, 30 and 40 feet up even in some places. It's amazing the tree even stood. Something out of Dr. Seuss almost. You know, the mass up there. So be careful if you're trying to deal with that debris. And really, our best guidance, and this goes for all the trees that uprooted and laid down and were piled with debris. If you want to start removing some of that, just go slow. And our good guideline from our urban forester is, if you're working a chainsaw or saw, do not leave the ground with your feet. You know, if you are, you should be calling that certified arborist and saying, hey, I need some arborists out. I need some help out here with this mass that I'm trying to clear. Broken and hanging limbs. There are a lot of branches still dangling up there they're just gonna decay slowly. In the next windstorm, I hope there's not a picnic table down underneath this nice cleaned out space now. I know we're dealing with a lot of different issues in the park. We're gonna try to clean up a lot of that debris because kids are gonna come down there and think that's a great place. I know I did it. That's a great place to climb. Man, that's a wonderful jungle gym out there. But so there are gonna be other issues with cleanup, but certainly the river bottom, I'm sure there are going to be better experts speaking about the riparian zone, but we should probably be leaving everything intact on that first terrace, especially the bank that drops down to the rock bottom. I saw a lot of regeneration out there, natural regeneration. Trees that were 2 and 3 years old, they rolled down with that strong, along with the grasses, a lot of forbs. They bounced along with 30 foot of water above them, debris bouncing across, and they just stayed intact. The river receded, and they're back vertical. Those down in the direct river bottom, the willows, the sycamores, a lot of those were small enough diameter that they are going to straighten up over time. Any of y'all experienced the Onion Creek floods further south? You know, this rain event had it fallen 20 miles southeast. We would have tested those dams on St. Creek and Purgatory Creek. They would have come in good use down there. But I don't have a lot of good things to say about the cypress. I can point to research that's gone on for 50 years, Clemson University and Louisiana State, LSU University, in the same species of tree, but where they've gone in and harvested bald cypress, you know, it's a high value tree, and they've left a stump. These trees are related to the redwoods and sequoias, and they stump sprout. I am hopeful, now the percentage is rather low, but I'm hopeful with trees that are, let's say 20-foot trunks with bark intact, that we're going to get some sprouting on those. Those that have their bark peeled completely, I didn't really want to go here because I don't have a lot of promising words for those. You know, had we gone out there that next day when it was still raining, well, the next day, 2 days later, let's say, when we were able to access the trees and wrap them with roofing felt or plastics, that can help bark regrow. But I'm not going to go there. We've had 10 days of dry weather. If there's no bark attached, these cypress logs are going to last for 50 to 100 years where they're standing. Again, we will discourage y'all trying to upright some of these trees that look like they might still be alive if they're rather large trees. The volume and the weight that you're dealing with, I mean, these are construction crews that might be able to do something, but once you got a tree up, you're guy wiring it, and that's a liability. There's a lot of pressure on those wires, and there's a lot of folks wanting to do that. I think we're going to get enough sprouting. We're going to get a lot of regeneration out there. We don't need to go there with those giant trees. A lot of the leaners, I think if the root pan is intact, they're going to probably be all right, straight up, especially if they're smaller diameter.
So when they're down and clearly not going to recover, right? I mean, is there a reason, human nature being what it is, that lumber is worth a lot of money?
Yeah.
Is there a reason not to take those trunks?
Depending on.
I mean, if you leave the root ball and all that, and you take that 20-foot chunk of
look, remember, every situation we bring up, there's going to be a micro environment around that plant. Everybody's going to have a little bit different scenario on the soils available on that site, on what else is growing, going to recover in that site. How can you access that? You know, are you going to winch it out? Those are some great volumes. A lot of people have talked about that, but every case is going to be a different view. You're going to have to take a little different look at each
so forgetting the risk factor, I mean, is there a biological reason?
Those are very important for holding the debris there on the banks and holding that soil while other plants are coming up. They can provide a nursery for those plants. Some downed logs are the best nurseries there are. That's a perfect place for all those little saplings and grasses and whatever else to grow up around and within that log itself. I mean, it's hard when you're looking at getting a little bit of money out of something like that versus letting the river heal. But the biggest concern there is that we're going another rise in the river within the next year to 2 years. And if we are clearing all the way down to the riverbanks, we're gonna start losing land.